So yeah, we're doing a series of lessons based on and inspired by the #1 best-selling book from Jen Sincero called You Are a Badass. And I love the subtitle of this. It's How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Anybody ever doubted your greatness? I think we all have. I think we're actually conditioned and trained not to really tap into or not to really accept the amazing and wonderful and beautiful spirits that we are. And so part of our work in unfolding is learning how to let go of those things that seem to hold us back from the truth of who and what we are. And one of the ways, the most important ways that she talks about in this work, in being able to really experience and discover who and what you are, she gives a quote here from Sri Sri Anandamurti. That's easy for me to say, right? I have trouble with this name. But he says, "You are never alone or helpless. The force that guides the stars guides you." I love that. There is a power and there's an energy that is inside of each and every one of us that is the essence of who and what we are. And when we tap into it, it can move us in ways that we hadn't dreamed of before and haven't imagined possible. But in order to tap into it, we kind of have to unplug from our normal, usual, everyday way and kind of thinking. And the way we do that is through meditation. Now, meditation, I'm of the opinion, is one of the greatest gifts of spirit that we have. I discovered meditation back when I was in college. And at my college, I went to a Methodist college, which it was kind of unusual to have someone teaching meditation at a Methodist college, but they actually have someone brought in that taught transcendental meditation. It was an elective, you didn't have to take it, and I actually went to one of the trainings and decided not to go through the full training, but I really became interested in meditation. So I began reading about meditation, kind of reading about how you do it. And I began practicing during the times between my classes in college, and I would sit out on this beautiful overlook that overlooked an underground library, and there was a path that everybody went through to go to classes, and everybody on campus went through this path. And I just remember sitting there, and class, I didn't have a class that period, and everybody had gone through and all the busyness went, everybody was active, and I was just observing it and just watching it, and I thought, wow, that's kind of like my thoughts that just keep rolling past and everything. But at one point, everybody was in class, and it was just me there. And I just stopped, and everything got quiet and still, and I heard this little voice inside of me that said, "It's a wise man who knows the beauty of silence." And that voice has been ringing in my ear off and on throughout my life. Because we gain significant wisdom when we stop thinking. It's not an easy thing to do, is it? Stopping thinking. In fact, I'm not sure that we can actually do it. But what we can do is become disengaged from the normal, everyday way that we think. We can begin to observe the way we think, and by sitting in a place of stillness, and she gives some great tips on how to meditate. And so you don't have to show of hands, but I mean, how many of you actually meditate? How many of you have actually learned how to meditate? How many of you do it every now and then, and how many of you tried it once? And it didn't work, right? Well, I got news for you. If you are not meditating on a consistent basis, I'm going to say it in pretty strong words, not the kind of language she uses, but pretty strong words. If you're not meditating on a regular and consistent basis, you are robbing yourself and the world of who you truly are. Because you'll never discover and experience the essence of who you truly are unless you stop identifying with the concept of who you are, which is your ego consciousness. She calls that the big sleep or the BS. Same thing, right? Unless we stop identifying with our BS, we're not going to really tune into and experience more of that light that is the essence of our being. In Psalms, it basically says, be still and know that I am God. I've always loved that verse because it's in the being still that we began to really connect with the I am of us. See, the I am is that place within us that we are experiencing and expressing the truth of our being. In unity, we call that the Christ. It is that part of our nature that is one with the divine. And so it's basically saying, be still, and you will know your I am, and you will know that I am is one with the creative source and prospect of being. See, we're created in the image and after the likeness of the divine. And the divine is the very creative source of the universe. It is always and consistently in the act of creation. And whether you know it or realize it or not, whether you recognize it or not, so are you. You're creating right now. You're creating based upon your prevalent and your consistent thoughts and ideas and belief system. And you're creating either a world that is a world that reflects an understanding and an awareness of the truth of who and what you are, or you're creating a world that reflects your big snooze, your BS. So the question really is, what choice are you choosing to make, and what choice are you choosing to use in creating the world that you live in, that you live through? She says, start off, if you've not meditated before, if you're just learning how to do this, or you're just interested in it, start off with just 5 minutes. And spend 5 minutes just being still. Don't try to stop your thinking, just notice it, observe it, but as much as possible, hold your body in stillness. And see if you can do it for 5 minutes. And then begin to expand that to 10 minutes. And then expand it maybe even to 15 minutes. And if you will meditate and spend some time in that stillness, in that silence for 10 to 15 minutes every day, you'll begin to see and notice that there is a different quality to your thoughts and your feelings and your energy. She says, because when we meditate, we practice getting into the vortex. I call it the source. And connecting to source energy, which automatically brings us into the present moment. It raises our frequency. It opens us up to receive unlimited information and ideas. It relaxes us. It relieves stress. It strengthens our intuition and ability to focus. It allows us to hear our inner voice more clearly. It fills us with light and love. It puts us in a good mood. It helps us love ourselves. Meditating and being the vortex is like riding the airstream of awesomeness. Here are some short kind of basic ideas. Sit in a comfortable position. She says cross-leg. I don't do cross-leg. I sit in a chair. Let your hands be relaxed. And then just sit straight and just as much as possible, allow yourself to simply be still. Be still and know. Just let yourself come into an openness of awareness. There's lots of different ways you can do this. A lot of people, there are different tips that you can do. Some people like to light a candle and just focus on a candle. Some people like to do a mantra. You can use the word love, or you can use the word peace. And she says you can even use the word meatloaf if that really turns you on, if that's what you're into. Just saying it over and over again to kind of still and calm the squirrel cage mind that's continually running through. I call it the monkey mind also. So meditation, it's one of the keys to really experiencing our true badassery. So, the thing that I also share with you is that in order for us to really experience the truth of who and what we are, we have to recognize that our brain, the way, I'm not going to say the way she puts it because I have to bleep a lot of things. I'm just not really ready to say a lot of those things. But she basically says that your brain is your bleep. And you can translate that in whatever term come to you. But I would say it this way, your brain is your servant. And the moment you think that your thoughts, and allow your thoughts to run the show, you've given over, in a very real sense, you've given over control of your life to a part of your nature that doesn't have a clue how to run it. And it's kind of like giving it over to a 2-year-old and give them the keys to a car, or a Maserati even for that matter, and expecting them to be able to navigate and to travel through this world in a way, period, to even navigate through the world. So our thoughts and our brain are the servant of our true nature. And if we are not allowing ourselves to tune into our true nature through meditation and becoming conscious and aware that our thoughts are creative tools that will bring a greater, bring into it whatever we are holding in thought. James Allen put it this way: mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass, a mirror. Our environment is really a mirror of the thoughts that we are holding in our awareness and in our consciousness. And so a big part of our work to become truly spiritual badass and to reveal that spiritual badassery that's possible for us, and that term to me really means our amazing, courageous greatness that is beyond all of the world's doubts and limitations. In order to really, truly experience more of the fullness of that, we have to be open and receptive to paying attention to the quality and the character of our thinking. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to have from time to time a negative thought. Anybody ever had a negative thought? And so it's not that we're never going to have a negative thought, but if we consistently are in that energy of feeling and looking at things from, as Paul said, through a glass darkly, then we're going to generate more of experiences that are going to really fulfill our desire. Believe it or not, our BS desire of experiencing more darkness. And so by really focusing on the negative of the world, we're actually becoming and participating in the creative process to draw into our experience even more of those kinds of negative things in our life. And my suggestion is, you have the power and the ability to shift, to change, to begin to look at life from a more positive way of looking. And she says, a British philosopher, James Allen, said that our mind is the master power. It's our ability to shift the quality and character of our thoughts that allows us then to create different circumstances and experiences in our world, and not the other way around. And so one of the problems that she points out here, which is really important, is we have a tendency to think that we have to see the results in order for us to be able to believe the possibilities. We have to see it out here. We have to see the evidence before we can believe. Wait a minute. We got to have the proof. Prove it. We think by seeing something out here that somehow proves something. But one of the things that she points out is that you will not see it out here until you believe it in here. Because you're not in tune with that greater possibility. If you're not in tune with that greater possibility, it will pass you right by and you won't even know it's there. The truth of the matter is, your heart's desire already exists. It's already available to you. But in order to really experience it in a manifest form, you have to believe that it already exists and it's already available to you before it will show up for you and the evidence becomes evident, becomes clear. So we tend to put the cart before the horse. We tend to think that we have to have the evidence in order to believe, and that's the other way around. We have to believe. We have to know. And then by knowing and believing, we are part of that creative process of the universe that is drawing and creating and attracting to us the kinds of experiences that we're holding in our thoughts and minds. So it's not that you're never going to have a negative thought, but the question is, are you going to stay in that? You know, in Unity we say thoughts held in mind produce after the kind. So it's not that if you have a negative thought that, oh my God, that's going to happen to me over and over and over again. Not necessarily. You have the ability to shift it. So here's some ways that she talks about shifting. For one, she encourages us to make a decision and a commitment that we're going to change our thinking first. That we're not going to wait for circumstances to change before we change the way we look and see things. She encourages you to get quiet and get in the zone, connect with that source energy, and then ask. Ask for something different. And know in the asking that it's not that you have to beg or beseech, but asking with a knowing that what you truly, your heart desire, what you truly desire is already available to you. And begin to get into the place of knowing that it's already available to you. In fact, she suggests that the next thing that you do is act as if it's already so. You begin to feel that it's already so, and then you take steps, and you make actions, and you do things that, as they say, fake it until you make it, you know. Well, the reality is you're not faking it because it already exists. You're actually just practicing having it in your experience. And then she says also, upgrade your environment. Begin to change things that are around you in such a way that it makes room for whatever it is that you truly desire to experience more of. She encourages you to make a vision board. How many of you have ever made a vision board or a treasure map, as we call them? I mean, this stuff is powerful. When you put images before you and bring those into your mind, your subconscious mind says, oh, that's what you want. And Spirit goes, oh, okay, well, let's create more of that. And so it's important to hold visions and images of what you truly want to experience and begin to see. You know, I encourage people to have not just a vision board of things that you want, but begin to have a vision board of you being the way you want to be. And you having the strength and the qualities and the awareness and all of those spiritual gifts that are available to you. And interestingly enough, when we begin to see and experience ourselves as we possibly can be, we actually are then creating the circumstances for us to do those things that will allow us to have what it is that we choose to have in our life. The secret really is be, do, and have, not the other way around. We have a tendency, when the world's taught us that the more you have, the more you can do, therefore you can be a certain way. And that's backwards. That's reversing the creative process. Tune into the truth of your being, and it will guide you in those things that you can do to experience and have what it is that you choose and want and desire to have in life. She also encourages us to think and surround ourselves with people who think in ways that we want to think. She says, when you hang out with whiners, pessimists, tweakers, bleakers, freaker-outers, and life is so unfairers, it's an uphill climb to keep yourself in a positive headspace. Now, this is really important to surround yourself with, not surround yourself with these kinds of people, but it's really even more important not to be one of them. And be willing to let go of the poor me. As long as you hold on to the poor me, the universe is going to give you all kinds of wonderful opportunities to be poor me. It's true, isn't it? We've all experienced it. I certainly have. I've done some really good poor me's in my life. And been through periods of time where the number one thought I had was, why me? And the universe kindly said, well, why not you? That's the way you're thinking. That's the way you're seeing. That's the way you are practicing. That's the energy you're holding. Why not you? And then number 6, she says, essential. Love yourself. Unless you have a better idea. Can't think of one. This stuff is really, she's really very, I like her, in some ways I like her irreverence, because I think it really helps in some ways to break us out of our normal everyday kind of thinking. And so it's really, I think, essential for us to break out of our everyday kind of thinking. Now, she uses language that I don't normally use, and so I may say a few bleeps here and there. So, but one of the things that she's trying to do is to help us get out of our normal, everyday, limited way of looking and seeing and thinking about ourselves and about our possibilities and about our world. She says, no matter what stage of life we're in, instead of settling for mediocrity because we don't believe anything else is available or appropriate, we only get to be in our bodies for a limited time, so why not celebrate the journey instead of merely writing it out until it's over? Yesterday I saw a video on YouTube that really inspired me. I shared it out with everybody, really. And it was a Miss Universe. Her name was Shauna Barber. And there was a phrase that she said in her speech. It was a commencement speech that she was giving at, I don't remember where, but she was giving this great commencement speech, and she was just a beautifully eloquent speaker about the possibilities for each and every one of us. She went through many experiences that most of us probably would have given up. She went out for beauty pageants, and lost as many as 5, 6, 7 times, and was not even in the running, and eventually became Miss Universe. But the thing she said that really spoke to me, and I'm going to invite you to sit with this for a minute and see if it doesn't really speak to you also. She said, never fear failure, but be terrified of regret. Let me say that again. Never fear failure, but be terrified of regret. Don't be afraid to jump out there and do those things that maybe the world tells you are impossible. But if they are moving in and you have a desire, burning desire in your heart to have, to do, and to be something, start with experiencing yourself as the person who already bees, that's not correct English, I realize, already bees that already is that. Begin to expand your possibilities in your own awareness of who and what you are. And don't listen to all the naysayers. Anybody got any of those in your life? Don't get me wrong. The naysayers in our life are merely a reflection of that part of ourself that is trying to keep us safe. And they show up in our life to make sure that we know that that's not possible. And what they're really saying is, if you try that, I'm afraid you're going to fail. And what her saying speaks to me about is, don't be afraid of failing. Be afraid of not ever trying and then having the regret that you didn't try it. I've done some pretty crazy things in my life. I've done hang gliding. I haven't jumped out of an airplane yet. It's on my list. I have crossed the New River Bridge, which is a mile high, on a narrow platform about half the width of this aisle, and with having to jump over holes and gaps in it that lead down to work areas that are from at least 5 feet, and you have to jump over those, and there's no net, there's nothing under you. And the crazy thing is, I did that with my former wife and my son, who was 12 years old at the time. And I was actually more afraid for them than I was for myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I was afraid for myself as well. But I was also extremely afraid that something would happen to them. But you know what? I do not regret doing that. We came out safe. We're still alive. They're still alive. And it was one of those amazing experiences of my life, because it allowed me to go past my fear. It allowed me to realize that there's something that is greater. Now, don't get me wrong. I would probably do it again. Maybe not with a 12-year-old, but I would probably do it again myself. I mean, there are things that I've done that I look back on and go, wow, I survived that. And there are things I look back on that I say, darn, I really wish I'd done that. And that's worse. So think about those things that are calling you, that are saying to you there's something more for you. They're saying something more, and there's more for you to have and do and be. There's more for you to show up as in this world. In order to experience more of the truth of who and what you are, part of our journey is to learn a very simple thing. But for some reason, it seems to be a challenge in so many times, in so many ways in this world. She quotes Ralph Waldo Emerson. She says, "It is one of the beautiful compensations in life that no one can sincerely try to help another without helping himself." You can't possibly help someone else without it also in some way helping you. And part of the work is learning how to be in an energy of giving. She said one day while driving somewhere with the family, they stopped at a store along the way and told the niece, the 5-year-old, that she could get herself a little something. And she came up to the register with a 6-pack of orange Tic Tacs and charmed her way into getting the whole thing, instead of being told to put it back and just buy one. So we get back in the car, and I ask her if I can have a pack. My only intent to teach the greedy little piglet a thing or two about sharing. Of course, she says, and hands it over. She then asks her itty-bitty 5-year-old, in her itty-bitty 5-year-old voice, if my brother and my mom want one too, and hands them over. And my niece then takes her remaining 3 packs and places them on the seat next to her in a pile, saying, "And when I get home, this one's for my brother, this one's for my sister, this one's for my mom." And then she sits there with none left for herself and smiles. more excited to give them away than she was when she was told that she could buy them for herself. You know, when we are in a giving awareness, when we are in a giving consciousness, we are emanating an energy that the universe cannot help but reflect to us. Are you hearing this? When we're in that energy of giving, we're in the vibration of giving, the universe, Spirit, God, the divine, cannot help but radiate that kind of energy back to us. If we are in an energy of fear of lack, if we are in an energy of taking, if we're in an energy of just trying to get, the universe cannot help but reflect that back to us. Because that's the way it works. As you sow, you reap. And so part of the practice, one of the things that she points out here is that she said she had a friend who had, I forgot the disease that she had, but she was her practitioner recommended that she take a practice for 29 days to give something away for 29 days. Wow, what a great practice. Even if it's just, you know, giving a drink of water or a water bottle to somebody on the street that's really hot and hungry or thirsty, or giving, giving $1 more in tip than you intended to give. But if you practice this energy of giving, the universe cannot help but reflect it back to you. That's a challenge for you. That's a challenge for me. That's one of the things I will do over the next 29 days. And I'm going to invite you to join me. For 29 days, find something that you can give to someone. If you haven't already, she says, pick a cause or two that you have real meaning to you and give. It doesn't matter the amount. Just be in the energy of giving. Give however much time or money you can, but do it consistently and so that it becomes a habit, so it becomes a part of your vibration, a part of who and what you truly are. And do it with an energy of gratitude. Anthony Robbins says, when you are grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. If you can do that with an energy of gratitude that you have $1, a penny, whatever it is that you can give, and you feel that energy of gratitude as you do it, the universe cannot help but reflect back to you and share with you and pour out and through you and in your life even more to be grateful for. Well, I can't begin to tell you all the amazing, wonderful gems that she has packed into this section, and we're not going to have the time to cover it all, but I would think that's a great place for us to pause and move into a feeling and a sense, an energy of gratitude. Let's move into our meditation time. Breathing in, I give thanks. Breathing out, I forgive. Breathing in, I receive. Breathing out, I let go. Breathing in, I relax. Breathing out, I am still. Take a moment now in this time to just pay attention and notice your breathing. It's not necessary to change it or regulate it. And for the next moment, And for the next few moments, let yourself dwell in stillness and in silence, in the silence. Breathing in, I trust. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, I'm grateful. Breathing out, I give. Take a nice deep breath now. Breathing into the heart space, letting that energy of giving and gratitude and peace emanate from your heart center. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and know that not only are you sending out the energy of giving and gratitude and peace, but it's emanating from everyone around you. And so just receive and take that in and give thanks. And when you're ready, be present here and now. And so it is.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, in oneness all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are,